Welcome to our talk show, Conversations with LJ. This is a show that brings you stories about exceptional people in our lives who have made strides in different spheres of life. We talk to people who have made it despite life's challenges, and we bring you stories of hope and inspiration. And this is our inaugural show. And I am joined in the studio by a very phenomenal woman, a lawyer, a judge, a human and women rights activist, and a politician, Mayor Unity Dow. They call you Madi. Welcome to Conversations with LJ.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
We are free to use Setswana, Sekoa, and a mix, just so that because we have a diverse audience.
Thank you.
First of all, we are interested in the story of your life. As I said, you are a lawyer, you are a human rights activist, you are a women's rights activist, you are a former judge, you are a politician. First of all, who is Unity Dow?
Well, that's just part of the story. I'm also a writer of both fiction and non-fiction works.
Oh, yes.
I'm a mother, I'm an aunt, I'm a sister, I'm a farmer, I'm many things.
Thank you, man. You are a lawyer, it means you studied law.
That's correct.
Did law choose you or you chose it? Why did you study law?
That's a very good question. Did the Lord choose you? I guess the correct answer is that a teacher guided me into that path. When I finished high school, or when I was about to finish high school in 1977.
Before I was born.
1977. You had a form came to the school, and you're supposed to list your, first choice, second choice, third choice of tertiary study. And 1977, how do you decide to be a lawyer? So actually a teacher, an English teacher, is the one who said, why don't you write LLB?
And who's this teacher, and what did this teacher see in you?
The teacher, Miss Summerhill, was an English teacher.
Oh, yes.
I guess, she saw in me the ability to argue in class. I think she saw me the potential to be a writer. I always wrote very good essays as a young girl in school. And I think, so that's what she saw. There wasn't the kind of guidance, career guidance that you see today. So that's what I wrote, LLB.
So back in the days, but instead of your parents saying that it was a teacher.
It was a teacher. It was actually a teacher.
And yes, I think she made the right decision.
When I told my dad, he was not too pleased about that because he wasn't too sure. I couldn't know what the LLB.
Yes.
So I told him, and he said, he didn't trust. He says, why don't they just say law? What is this LLB thing?
So he thought it was something else?
He wasn't too sure. He wanted to be certain
that,
the guidance was correct. And he had never heard the word LLB.
Oh, yes.
You see, so, yeah.
All right. You went to university, I guess it's University of Botswana?
No, I didn't study in Botswana at the time.
Oh, yes.
When I started, it was University of Botswana, Lesotho, and Swaziland.
Oh, yes.
And then, remember, Lesotho dropped out. So it became University of Botswana and Swaziland only. So, I studied in Swaziland and also studied in Edinburgh.
Oh, yes.
There was no law degree in Botswana at the time.
Okay.
The university had just, remember, our university was very young in 1977. Remember Mutolomoto Khomo, which actually built the university.
Oh, yes.
And those are the days when
Okay. And as you studied at these two universities that you mentioned, and after graduation, which areas of law were you interested in? I know law of contract, criminal, civil.
I have to say I really enjoyed criminal law. I still think maybe I like drama because
I guess
like I say I also write and also like personal stories.
Oh, yes.
So I worked in the criminal division as a defense attorney. And later, I was also, when I went into private practice, I also did a fair amount of criminal. I like criminal law.
Okay.
I like, I believe that I can tell when you are lying to me. That I believe I'm a very good judge of character, and that I can tell when I can tell after 3 sentences whether there's no consistency, so.
Interestingly, I'll remind you this. While I was the editor of the Botswana Gazette.
Yeah.
And we had a lawsuit. I think the Botswana Manual Workers Union was suing the Botswana Gazette. Mm-hmm. And we were in Lubatse. And I was asked the question. There was a time when
I don't remember that. Well, that's great. You know, so
Anyway,
yeah, I really do
yeah.
believe that I'm good at finding inconsistencies in information.
And I suspect that was what we were finding in me at that time. Anyway, water under the bridge.
Yeah.
And then you became a judge. Yes, we'll pass that. And as I said, remember, this show is about stories of hope, inspirational stories. At the end of the show, somebody about oh, Madawa has been through this. If they managed to do this, so can I. And then back in the days, you formed mokgatlo mongwe, and obviously the Women's Information Center.
That's correct.
Let's just give us a little bit of a history. What was the Women's Information Center?
Okay. But first of all, when I founded that or co-founded that, I used to live in Muchudi. That's where I raised my children. And I tell you, especially Saturday morning, Sunday mornings, there'd be a list of women, you know, outside my door seeking legal help. Women who could not afford I had a law office in Gaborone. They could not afford my services. So it was almost, I was doing two jobs. Midweek, I was billing. On weekends, I was giving free advice. But I was enjoying the work that I was doing, you know, on weekends more than the one I was doing at work. I guess, again, because I like people's stories. People's stories always intrigue me. You know, how people got to where they are, why people can't negotiate themselves out of tough situations, how people get themselves into tough situations. So that really intrigued me. So that's when I decided, you know, why don't I find funding so that I can do this work? And so I went to Citizenship at the time and said, sir, of course, I would like to, you know, open the center, Mamuchud. Remember at that time, people were used only to either it's a government office or it's a business office. The idea of something in between that is neither business nor government, that is an NGO, was totally new. So you actually called a Khotla meeting. I think that's the first Khotla meeting where it was actually called for an individual, or an individual's duty. So I called a Khotla meeting at which I was to address the public. And I explained, and a man stood up and said, why is he neri thare efa ba Bible a taking wait and rebana efa hapela haruna. Basically suggesting what I'm leading the tribe astray. So there was all these, you know, people were against, some people were for. And I remember and you know, so it was drama at the Khotla. But Khotla just summed it up and said, look, Unity Dow are how is a Mosadi? What will you how to so how you shouldn't worry at all. How you shouldn't worry at all. So anybody who object them must believe what they've done something wrong. So that's really how the matter was, you know, calmed down. And that's when I started the Women's Information Center right in the middle of Muchud, where all kind of women came.
When I say we are going to talk about exceptional people who have made a great difference in their lives and in the lives of others, here you are, you were a lawyer. Monday to Friday, you were billing for these services. And then Saturday, Sunday, whenever your weekend, you were doing these services for free as a way of giving up to the community. And I believe these are some of the stories that when people learn, they will be inspired to contribute to the society. And talking about the opposition in Wanalone, I was young then, but I still remember very well. And one of the issues, that's
correct.
Didn't this worry you? Were your parents not concerned? Or Unity especially negatively?
Yeah, I have to say I had very exceptional parents. You know, my parents, now all both deceased, were very, very good people. And they were always supportive. Looking back, my dad supported me, my mom supported me, and they believed in the project that I was doing. I'm sure they heard negative stories about me, having to go my song, at funerals and at weddings, but I don't know. I've always believed what if the path is right, people will come to the fold eventually. And if the path is right, just take it. In life, I think, there's harmony in maybe 90% of the time of our relationship with others, whether it's a family, community. There's always 10% tension. It's how you manage that tension that really makes a difference.
And tell me, if we look back, what are success stories? What are the milestones? What is it that when you look back, you can be proud and say, through we managed to achieve this in society?
Okay, one, there are many, but let me cite one, because maybe one main, I'll say child maintenance. When I started Metlaitsile, maintenance was 40 pula a child. Only.
40 pula?
Yes. A child maintenance case had to be brought before 2 years, otherwise you could not bring it. Child maintenance only continued until 13 years, or the child is in school. So you can see what there were serious limitations. The child, nearly 40 people, even then 40 people and so what I did, with my team, we challenged this particular law as unconstitutional. So what did we do? We filed 250 cases before the High Court. 250 cases. Why? To clog the system, to force the government to do something. So I filed about like 10 cases a day, sometimes 20 a day. So what happened is that the High Court could not function because we were really tying its hands. Because then the way it was that when you file a case, it had to be, assigned a judge. So all judges were now doing child maintenance cases with only one issue. So for the first time, my clients were not just the mother, were the children. Because I was saying, as a child of an unmarried woman, I have a right to maintenance according to the means of my parents, both male and female. And when the court says, my father can only give me 40 pula, my father can only give me 40 pula if my mother filed a case before 2 years and it will stop at 13. That is discriminated against me because I was married, I was born into a non-marital situation. So I was challenging the constitutionality of this law. And of course, so the judge says, why don't you combine, you can join cases. I said, no, my clients don't be joined. So I wanted them to be as many as possible. Exactly. And what happened?
That was a good strategy.
Yes, and what happened? Parliament sat and changed the law because the High Court was not working. So the High Court was saying, look, Parliament, do something because Mossad was heading up. So finally, a judgment was delivered to say it's unconstitutional. And in the meantime, Parliament sat and actually passed a new law on child maintenance. The new law depends on the means of the father, of the parents, and doesn't stop at 2. You can file a maintenance case anytime as long as the child is under 18 or 21 or not, or is not self-supporting. So that's what we changed. That's one big case. But there are many others. If you remember, even GBV, during Metlaitsile, there wasn't this level of GBV because there were consequences. One of the strategies I used to use would be very, very simple. My clients want to leave home. They're afraid that they're going to be beaten up. They've been abused, they've been assaulted, I write a letter to the station commander. I said, my client will be coming to house number so and so. Have the curtains, have the chairs, have the fridge, have the bed, because they're entitled to half of that. My client doesn't want to divorce. She has not made up her mind yet that she wants to divorce. And nobody's going to force her to divorce. But she has a right to access to the use of her joint estate. She has to leave this house because this man is abusive. So be there. Because you are responsible. And routinely, police will be there. Because they are afraid that if there is violence, when this woman is moving out, to go and set up a new home, then they're going to be, their hands are going to be bloodied. So there are many other strategies that we used to use.
So this was our very first legal battle with government. A lot of people remember the 1992 case, which we'll talk about at a later date. Yes. And then, complementing Metlaitsile, I know you are also part of the founders, if not the founder, War, Women Against Rape. What motivated you to form this?
Women Against Rape was really was founded by women,
Yes.
you know, who really.
I remember the likes of Chibuya Dabuta, if not mistaken. Yeah.
And Sonde, how can I? And Sandenberg.
Yes.
There's a woman called Anne Sandenberg. She's one of the pillars of Maung. If you think about somebody who came from South Africa at 18, became Mutawana, and has been there. She's one of the people who founded. And because of my work with women against, with the Metlaisile, and because of my work with women against law, Wilson and other women, Eva Masadi, then they asked me to come and do that constitution and be part of the initial committee members. So again, there was, you know, it was around the issue of the violence against women. And if you look at the stats around that time, how since one women since women against rape, but there was more activism, you see, and there was, we found fewer. I really think that part of the reason is that there are no consequences for these things anymore. Yeah,
and what is it that motivated you to assist women against rape?
I mean, I think one of my biggest problems, I'm a busybody. You know, I'm a busybody. My daughter always says, Mom, they would have solved the problem. You can't go around solving every problem that you see. But I'm the kind of person, if I'm at a place, I'm going to like, so I'm the kind of person who's always, I slide into situations where solutions are required. It's in my nature.
But there's a lot that you can do. I know you're a farmer. You could have channeled those energies towards farming. You could have channeled those energies towards writing. But you decided to form Metlaisile. You took part more Women Against Rape. Maybe one would ask, have you been a victim of violence or something? I experienced this and I'm not going to allow any other woman to experience this. Or it was just out of compassion.
That's a very good question, because I would say, you know, I had the one in every 5 women have been experience violence. You know, I'm one of the persons saying, I mean, is it luck? No. Is it your posture? You see, is it, you know,
you know, a lot of young people about politics, very outspoken person. And some of them are actually beneficiaries of your legal battles with Hormente. Let's talk about the 1992 case where you were fighting with government over the citizenship of your children. Specifically, I think Nakwateng Section 4 and 5 of the then Citizenship Act. Bana ba tsa nationality ya rabone and le Setswana sa rialo ne se re ngwana ke ngwana wa monna. And then there comes Unity Dow, who decides to take government head on. Just give me a brief about this citizenship case. What is it that motivated you to take government head on?
Okay, that was one of the things was actually also a personal, I guess, problem.
Yes.
That I had children. I was married to a non-citizen, an American. I had bana Botswana. And suddenly, I'm looking at my brothers, my cousins, my male cousins. Why are they special?
Why do you want to change the law? Exactly.
So, yes. Why did I want to change that? Because culture is created by people, and culture, you know, is formed by the majority or the powerful. Any culture. So men are powerful in our society, and they just, that's the culture of our society. So, if you think about it, I got and the case the case of a child maintenance, I was challenging that notion.
Yes.
Whether married or unmarried. So, you know, so the kind of culture that we, you know, and maybe the culture of Banagwa Mona 1,000 years ago, 200 years ago, in small communities where people lived, so that there's no implications of international travel. it was a totally different atmosphere or environment. So the next time we made a Peter Dow here.
And here is Unity Dow again. Ke imagine banna ba goloko mochudi. The very same man ona eme khatana le na go khotleng kana kwa metlhaitsile gore here she is again. O challenge molao. Are bana ke ba mosadi. Bana ba tse sereto sa borra bone. Was there opposition at that time and how did you feel about it?
Okay, first of all, sequencing, the citizenship came before the Kotla meeting.
Oh yes, oh yes.
So yelling about
same thing, yes.
Oh yeah. Was there lots of opposition
In government, in the community,
everywhere. Remember, after I won the first case, my argument was that citizenship cannot just be passed by men. I have a right to pass my citizenship to my children, just like my brother has a right to pass the citizenship. Tanzania, that should be the case. So that was my argument. So we won at the High Court level, and then the Parliament appealed the decision, okay, and they lost. So the Court of Appeal said yes, the law was discriminating against women on the basis of sex, okay, and that is unconstitutional. Then the Parliament, then Cabinet, the executive went from kotla to kotla across this country, asking the simple question: Ala basadi balekana levan, ala remada correct? And you should, if you go back to the newspaper, those newspaper articles, it's shocking. You know, this woman, must be a very weak man. She must go back to America. So there were all kinds of things. It's going to destroy our culture. Our culture, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But and then I can tell you a very interesting incident. Once I was, my car died. Hapilan had that filling station Hapilan. So I got a lift from somebody. So, and this person proceeds to tell me about this woman. It goes on and on about this woman who just told the time to destroy our culture. So I get Unity Dow. Oh no, next time. You know, so
now changing the narrative. And I'm glad you gave that example. Didn't this put pressure on your family? I'll always go back to the parents, to the siblings, even to Mr. Dow himself. Wasn't there a point where he said to you, don't you think we should abandon this? Lewa and Naila, wasn't there a point where you felt the pressure and you wanted to give up?
Interestingly, okay, no, it's really interesting. Maybe I'm a good at, managing the people around me. My parents, went to court every time the court. My neighbors, Susana went to all my court cases. Because my whole neighbors were never I'm correct. My father believed I was correct. Interestingly, I remember my son, Tumisang, it was before TV, remember?
Yes.
And this case was in the news. So Unity Dow, Tumisang Dow, Shasha Dow, Natasha Dow were in the news almost like literally at least 3 times a day. Let's tell them you are sorry. Tell them you didn't mean it.
We are your son.
And he was like, I don't know, maybe 10. Or tell them, yeah, sorry, ma'am. I don't want to hear my name in the radio anymore.
He felt the pressure. And that pressure. And as a mother, and here you are. You are fighting for the same child. And the way I absorb and you look at things, didn't you feel like abandoning the case just for the sake of his emotions?
It never occurred to me to take any other path but to work forward.
And how does he feel right now? He's a lawyer, by the way.
He's a lawyer, and actually, it's very interesting because he says, he really appreciated the impact of the case when he was now in law school at at UCT in Cape Town.
In Cape Town.
Where he had to learn to actually take an exam about himself. So you cannot go to law school at all in the Commonwealth or even in the Commonwealth without learning about the Unity Dow case.
Yes.
So I meet young people, go you be like students, but It doesn't matter whether you're taking a gender course, whether you're taking your procedure course, whether you're taking about, doesn't matter what you are taking. You will learn about the Unity Dow case from first year to fifth year in one aspect or another. International law, so yeah.
No, that's very true. Actually, my daughter is doing first year law at university. So this morning when I was coming, I was telling her that I'm going to interview you, and I was telling her about the case. I've said to her, no, you'll meet it in one of your syllabus as time goes on. And then, did you have hope of winning? You were facing government for the second time. Did you have any hope of winning?
I'm an optimist, and I'm always shocked when I lose. I mean, I'm this person, I remember even when I stood for election the first time, when I lost, I was shocked. But my husband then always really created room in case you go to time to prepare. I'm never prepared for losing. I'm always shocked, but I'm also not a regretter. I'm a regret, and if I lose something, I don't feel like I just move forward to the next level. So did I think, I remember before I filed the case, I did something I don't think too many people do. At the time, remember, level in the same class, I was Sydney Pilani, those were my friends and my colleagues. So one of the things I did before I filed the case, or even after I filed the case, but before I argued it, I asked Sydney to call, lawyers on both sides. So we had a panel at his office, people who are for me, people who are against me. Those people telling me why I'm going to lose, there's people who I'm going to win. So it was very interesting.
That was very smart.
Very discussion. So I heard from my own colleagues why my case was strong and why my case was weak. So it was a very interesting, so that's one of the things I did. And I also reached out to a Human Rights Institute in the US and got students to actually do research work for me. So I had a lot of resources supporting me in that respect.
And what did this victory, the Winnie case, mean to you?
First of all, at a personal level, it meant that my kids were Botswana citizens, which is all I wanted. But also, it meant also not just me, but other people in my situation, which also, so the win was not just my win, it was a win of other people as well. But it also did something that is very important. Because of that decision, the executive, the cabinet at the time, they actually put together or instructed a consultant, I think it was Atalia Mulukume, led that consultancy, to actually look at all the laws in Botswana that discriminate against women and actually come up with a way of striking them out. So actually it started a process of actually striking out many, many laws. For example, the idea that there used to be a law that the domicile of a woman is the domicile of a husband at the time of their marriage. If you are married to a Tanzanian, if you have never been to Tanzania, certainly you are no longer domiciled in Botswana, you are domiciled in Tanzania.
Despite the fact that
exactly. And domicile is very important for rights.
Yes.
So things like, the fact that a man can sell a property, before, if you're married in community or property, the decision maker was only the man. Now you need two signatures,
yes,
if there's joint property. So people don't, there are many laws that they looked at and actually made it over time. People don't understand that when I first joined, became a lawyer, joined public service in 1980, 82, I guess. When I first joined, I was not even I was the only woman in my class. All the men in my class who joined public service as lawyers, for example, they were on permanent and pensionable terms. I was on contract because I was a woman, because I was a married woman. A married woman was assumed what she is going to quit after 2 years to go and make babies. So that some of these things changed over time.
That is very interesting. And then we've shared a very interesting story, very exceptional and inspirational stories. What message, when you look at young people in Botswana, or women in Botswana, what message can you just say to them, sharing what is it that they can learn from you? What advice can we give to them in terms of living positively and
okay, first of all, I want to say, what I said, before, that the world around you is fairly harmonious. But there's a very small aspect that is the tension. Learn how to manage tension with other people in a way that's positive. Learn to manage tension between your siblings, tension between your husband, tension with children, in a way that you're asking, what do you want? And you want harmony. So you don't want to explode that tension, you want harmony. So for me, I say every day, I strive for peace. I strive for happiness. I strive for, positivity. So, and the other thing is try as much as possible to live an ethical life.
I didn't want to mix this story of your life with politics. I wanted us to talk about this Unity Dow that many, especially the young ones, don't know. And I'll definitely invite you one of these days to come and talk about Unity Dow, the politician. And there is a lot that they can still learn from you. Madawa, thank you very much for honoring my invitation.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, we've come to the end of our show. I hope Madawa's story has been an inspiration to you. As I always say, let's keep clapping hands for those who succeed until our turn comes. Whatever situation you find yourself in, just know that somebody out there, like Madawa maybe or somebody else, has been through the worst. Let's keep pushing until it is our time to receive the ovation. Thank you very much and good evening.